This podcast is brought to you by Customplan Financial Advisors Inc, an independent insurance managing general agency in Canada. FinancialPodcast.ca was developed with one goal in mind: to educate Canadians on important topics that affect their financial well-being and make it readily available to all. We welcome you to plug in and learn with us. If you have questions, please email us at contact@financialpodcast.ca.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Financial Podcast. I'm your host, Arlene, and today we're talking to Sherif Gemayel, owner and founder of Sharp Insurance and Trufla Technology. If you are an independent insurance broker, this is the podcast you want to pay attention to, because Sherif and his team have come up with some fantastic software that can help you. Welcome to the program, Sherif, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Darlene. It's great to be here.
Oh, you're so welcome. But to start off with, can you tell us, who is Sherif Gemayel?
Sherif Gemayel, he is I guess, just your average Joe. I'm an insurance broker, as you know, kind of my background. We started a brokerage a few years ago and somehow morphed it into a tech company. Although I have no experience in technology, I actually didn't have any experience in insurance either starting. So it seems to be a history of that. But yeah, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur as far back as I can remember, and I've got a passion for what we do. That's me in a nutshell.
Well, you know what, I can tell you, your path is probably atypical. So I think this is, you've got a fascinating story. And just so our viewers are aware, Sherif is joining us from Cairo, Egypt right now. So sometimes the video will be a little bit spotty, a little bit broken up and not as smooth. It's just the way of the world right now. So, but
connection has a few miles to travel.
A little bit.
A few miles to travel.
Satellites goes up to too.
Exactly.
Okay, so as you mentioned, you're a licensed insurance broker. You offer technology that allows others to more easily be independent in the insurance space. So can you tell us the story behind Trufla Technology and TrueScore?
Sure. So TrueFlow was born out of Sharp Insurance. It started a few years ago, and really the TrueFlow was born out of Sharp's own need for certain types of technology to distribute. So Sharp is always a very forward-thinking brokerage. We tried to be digital in a lot of different ways, and the technology just wasn't really available for us. So rather than going out to seek it, we went out and bought it, and built it. And we started getting approached by other brokers, our competitors, saying, "Hey, it's kind of cool, some of the stuff you're doing. Can we use that too?" And we were like, how moment, maybe there's something here that we could kind of take, develop further and take out even further. And so TrueFlow was born. Like you said, I'm in Cairo right now, so we actually have an office here in Cairo where the heavy lifting of our development is. We have about 70 people in Cairo. I'm actually currently sitting on the rooftop of our office. And so we've got a pretty big operation here, and it's not an outsourced shop. It's our own office. It's our own team. We've got our own infrastructure here, and we build out technology that we distribute to brokers across the country. And so in Canada and in the UK, and soon in the US as well. So
wow,
that's kind of us.
That's quite the expansion.
It's been a journey. I mean, TrueFlow is 6 years old now, so it's been a journey for sure.
And yeah, just to go off topic a wee little bit, and when I watched a podcast with you with another group before, you mentioned that there was some sort of Icelandic connection to the name Trufla.
That's right. So it was the name, we came up with it in a drunken moment under the influence of tequila in Mexico, which seems to be why the drink of choice for Trufla is tequila. But yeah, so it's the word Trufla is Icelandic for disruption. So we always wanted our technology to be disruptive in the insurance space, and so that's where
the name
it had a little bit of a ring to it. So I got Trufla. It's not like a sneeze, like Trufla. God bless you. No, there's actually there's a little logic behind it.
That's good to know. It's amazing what happens and what gets created in bars. So you offer a fairly in-depth analysis of a broker's website, and you make SEO suggestions. Algorithms, however, change frequently within Google and other search engines. So how do you ensure that your search engine optimization suggestion can keep up with these changes? But you know what? Probably before we talk about that, maybe you should give us a brief overview of what Trufla does.
Sure. So Trufla provides technology that covers the entire life cycle of an insurance policy, everything from acquisition of client to fulfillment of order to servicing the client afterward, kind of everything in between. So at the front end, when you're talking about acquisition of client, the number one place you would acquire a client from is typically online through search engines, where people are searching. A lot of people don't even know this, but up until recently, it could still even be the stat. I mean, they haven't really been publishing stats lately, so it could be a little bit off, at least a couple of years dated. But up until recently, it was probably about 20% of Google's annual revenue came from the keyword insurance. There was actually nothing on earth more competitive online than insurance. And in the SEO world, especially when you're trying to acquire a customer for any industry, it's this constant chicken and egg. The search engines don't actually like this concept of SEO and search engine optimization because it eats away from ad revenue, right? The whole idea of SEO takes away from ad revenue. And they'd rather you spend on ads than try to optimize, just pay a third party to optimize your site to be ranked on Google. So they're constantly changing their algorithm to try to beat, so that nobody can kind of beat the system, right? But it does take a lot of work. You start to understand there's a lot of work that goes into it, right? And trial and error and understanding the logic and the thought as to why certain things are ranking the way they are and what Google's focusing on. They do drop Easter eggs here and there, tidbits. But Google's constantly trying to enhance the experience for the consumer around the search and the search logic, and to give them their answers quickly in the way that they want. And so they typically focus their algorithm around the user experience. And that's what we're constantly looking at from an SEO perspective. So it's a constant chicken and egg, constant. Never ends.
No, that's true. And so, can you tell us a little bit about what TrueScore is?
Yeah, TrueScore was a tool that we developed a few years ago that we look at dozens of different points that are publicly available points, we use it to determine a brokerage's digital aptitude. So we bring in all these data points from online and we measure a brokerage's digital aptitude. So basically, how easy or difficult can they be found online, and what is the experience from a web build perspective? So basically, the way that Google would kind of look at it, right? As well as what their sales and marketing aptitude is. So their ability to not just bring in a lead, but to actually engage that lead and actually be able to sell a process. We built this tool that does these measurements, and it does it quite successfully. So we've ran it for thousands of brokerages. And we kind of measure brokerages against each other, and we put brokers into different buckets. It can actually be used for any industry. It doesn't need to be used just for insurance, but it can be used for any industry.
Right.
Basically to give a snapshot, a moment, kind of this score onto how digitally capable you are in terms of acquiring and filling an order.
Wow. Okay. So that it sort of sounds like it's an automated mystery shopper type of a thing. Is that a correct understanding?
There is a mystery shop component to it, so that would be part of the measurement on the sales and aptitude. So there is a mystery shop component, but it's not automated. We actually do the mystery shops.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you've got somebody calling up, some of your clients and running through a set of standards or questions or something in order to
not even questions. We send in the request to see how quick they respond back and what form they respond back. Because, whether it's in insurance or any industry, after a certain period of time, if you're not getting to the client fast enough, they're gone. They've moved on to something else. And especially in insurance,
yeah.
I mean, we have to remember that in insurance, we sell a product that nobody wants to buy. It's not like people are that expensive or that excited to buy the product that they're going to wait eagerly for the call from the broker so I can buy the insurance. I'm going to buy insurance today. No one's really so that excited. So they want to move quick. Like I know I need it. I know what I like. I gotta get it going, right? So yeah, that response is pretty important. So we help brokers measure that so that they know kind of where they're weak, where they're strong, and where they need to focus to grow their business.
That's hilarious. Some valid points in there. And when I was going through your website, I saw you offered like a heck of a lot of support for your clients. You've got ebooks that, they look to be well-rounded and a great reference tool for anyone starting out in the industry. And so, like, to me, that seemed pretty thorough. What are you looking to add to your repertoire of customer support?
Lots of things. We're in the process of building lots of videos, additional tools and info. I mean, the reality is we're very big believers that the best way to distribute insurance is through a broker. Mm-hmm. The best example that I can, that we give people for why distribution through brokers is the best is, you never take your taxes and go straight to the CRA and tell them to do the review and tell you how much you owe them. You're going to be paying a lot if you try to go down, with their lens. That's no different than going to an insurance company directly and trying to buy insurance, right? Versus going to a broker is like going to an accountant. Give them the information, they package it up, they make it look nice, and they try to give you the best possible option. Just like an accountant tries to save you as much money as they can when it comes to paying your taxes. They know what they're doing, right? So we want to provide the tools to brokers to make them even better. To be able to distribute even better, faster, and in a digital world.
Yeah, it's and that's what I think is so fascinating about technology is that there's no sitting on your laurels. You always have to be innovative. You always have to be moving forward, and this pushes you to do that. And I think like probably in 2020, a lot of technological advances happened that may not have happened otherwise, especially like the whole working from home and, independent advisors were sort of already there, but with any additions that you offer, it sounds like a heck of a great deal for anybody that's new to the business. So
100%.
So, and you'll have to excuse my next question. I am not an insurance person. I am just somebody that likes to talk to insurance people and those in the finance industry. So this looks to me like it was great front-end technology. Do you offer back-end as well? So if an insurance broker wanted to get a quote, say for critical illness, can they plug in the information for their client and your software reaches out to different insurance companies, or does the broker still have to go to all those different insurance companies?
Yeah, we've got the full meal deal in our system, so they can get the quotes, they can issue the policies. It's the full meal deal.
That's excellent. I mean, that's got to save brokers a lot of time, just having that option. So somebody gets registered, they get all their licenses to be an independent insurance broker. What is the first piece of advice that you would give them?
Before they do anything, they need to understand who they're selling to, what they're selling and who they're selling to.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to say, well, I want to sell insurance. I want to sell auto insurance. I want to sell life insurance. I want to sell, disability, whatever it may be. Great. Everybody wants to sell that. Who are you selling it to? Why are you selling it to them? Once you kind of identify your market and who you want to sell it to, then you figure out, okay, how am I going to reach them? Right? And do I have the right things in place to be able to do it successfully, right? Because you can't just deploy technology for the sake of deploying technology. Deploying technology doesn't actually solve any problems. The technology itself doesn't actually solve the problem. It's the business that's you use the technology to help the business solve the problem, right? So you have to be able to identify exactly what you want, how you're going to do it, and then you apply technology to get there faster. So that's the advice I'd give is, know exactly where you're going, what you're selling, who you're selling it to, and then figure out what you need to do.
Okay. And so an insurance broker, they take a look at what you offer and decide they want to come on board with what you offer. What kind of a process could they be looking at in order to make that happen and take advantage of your technology?
Well, we tell people all the time that, we'll do an assessment. We'll do an assessment with the broker to kind of give them an idea, run a TrueScore on them to give them an idea of where they are digitally and where they need to be strong. But here's the reality. You could have the greatest technology in the world. It quotes, it binds, it issues, it does, it serves you a cappuccino after you're done, right? It's the greatest technology you've ever seen. But if you can't be found and nobody knows you exist and you don't know how to drive an opportunity, it doesn't matter how good the technology is. So I always tell people you have to start there. Any business has to start with customers. You have to be able to find and identify and bring in customers and sell actual policies and get the process started. And then you apply technology to make it more efficient or make it faster or whatever. That any new broker, that's where you start. We started like that. We did everything on paper. There was no technology.
Yeah.
You start with the customers and you build it out from there.
Yeah. So don't put the cart before the horse is what you're saying.
No, you'll blow your brains out unnecessarily. Or you'll get run over by that cart.
No doubt. As it's going downhill.
With the horse pushing it. Yeah, with the horse pushing it from behind.
So one question, I was a bit curious, having a Canada-Egypt diversity is a little bit different. Sure. Quite often there's Canadian American businesses, Canadian UK. Being in Egypt, how did it happen to be in Egypt? And what are some of the differences you see? Like, do you sell insurance in Egypt?
We don't. If I showed you, if I took my camera right now and showed you over the edge of this building what driving in Egypt looked like, you would know that there's no such thing as insurance here. Like, it is uninsurable. So we came to Egypt because my background, my background is Egyptian. My parents are Egyptian, and so I thought it would be kind of cool to, set up shop in kind of the country that I was actually born here, but I came to Canada when I was 6 months old. So I am Canadian, through and through, but Egyptian Canadian, or Canadian Egyptian. So I thought it would be kind of cool to go back here. But the challenge is they really don't understand the concept of insurance here. So we've actually gone the distance to really, we train all of our developers in insurance. They're all insurance trained. That's part of our onboarding process. They go through a 6 month. It's about 6 months of training on insurance. Wow. Aside from the technical stuff they do, they're constantly learning about insurance because, what we've learned even in the insurtech world, a lot of technology companies are trying to come into the insurance world, but they don't necessarily understand insurance. And that's actually one of our biggest advantages. We build the technology with a deep and keen understanding of insurance, and we make sure all of our developers understand that as well. So they're thinking from an insurance perspective. So that was really quite different.
Yeah.
To embed that culture of insurance into, kind of here in Egypt. But it's worked quite well. And all the big insurance companies are actually starting to digitize now, and we're one of the bigger players involved in that. Even in the market here, like, working with some of the global giants like Allianz, AXA, and whatnot, who are here in Egypt. And that's really starting to grow and develop here.
Well, I think that's cool. You're using your roots. You've got connections there, and I'm not going to lie. It comes as a surprise to me that insurance is not so common there. I don't know what. I can't imagine that. We're just so used to insurance. It's so ingrained. Like you said, we know we need it. We don't want to. We don't get excited about buying it, but we know we need it. We're sure grateful when we get it. So.
But different world here.
It really sounds like world. It. Yeah. So you've got some great options for independent brokers. You've given everyone a lot to think about. And would you like to leave any final thoughts for our viewers and listeners?
Well, first of all, if you're an insurance broker out there, you are arguably in the greatest business mankind has ever seen. And I'm not just saying that lightly. Truly, one of the greatest businesses mankind has ever seen. It is a fantastic business. It's an evolving business. There's so much that's changing, but that's the exciting part of it right now. And in the long run, I do believe insurance brokers are going to win the long game. They are the distributors of the future for all things insurance. And TrueFlow is going to be there along the way to help brokers get there.
This is an exciting. Like for me, I enjoy technology. I spend a lot of time in IT. So when I see software that adds service like what this does, somebody can expand their business by leaps and bounds, but like you said, they do that first step first, build your business, then bring in these tools. So
betcha.
I like that. So how can people get in touch with you?
So you can either get in touch with me online. LinkedIn is the easiest and fastest. I am on LinkedIn at Sherif Gemayel. You can get in touch with me on by email, of course, sharif.g@trufla.com. Those are the two fastest ways to get in touch with me.
And we will have all of that on the website as well as your website, so people can check you out. So thank you so much, Sharif, for coming on the show today. It was sure a lot of fun talking to you.
Thanks, Darlene. Thanks for having me. And I'm glad the connection held up. So I'm pretty sure it did.
I think we got lucky.
Yeah, the satellites worked.
Yay! And I'd also like to thank Customplan Financial Advisors for sponsoring this program. They are an award-winning managing general agency providing fantastic resources to the independent financial advisor. Look at what they offer at customplanfinancial.com. And this podcast is now on YouTube and Spotify, as well as financialpodcast.ca. Sign up or subscribe to be notified of every new podcast. And if you have an idea for a podcast or know of someone that would make a great guest, please send an email to contact@financialpodcast.ca. We'd love to have your feedback. Well, Sharif, thank you once again. Enjoy the rest of your day in Egypt, and try to stay cool. Although from what I understand, they do a much better job of that than we do here in Calgary. So
it'll be nice in the evening.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you so much again. And we'll see everybody soon. Bye-bye.
The views expressed here are those of the participants and not those of Customplan Financial Advisors Inc., its affiliates, or subsidiaries. This is not intended to serve as a complete analysis of every material fact regarding any company, industry, or security. This presentation may contain forward-looking statements. Investors are cautioned not to place undue reliance on such statements, as actual results could vary. This site and podcasts are for general information purposes only and does not constitute investment advice and is not intended as an endorsement of any specific investment product or service. Individual investors should consult with an investment professional about their personal situation. Past performance is not indicative of future results. If you are unsure about what is the best course of action for you in your financial planning, then we suggest you consult a fee-based independent financial advisor or get in touch with us to discuss your individual situation. Our phone number is 604-687-7773.